Hello, welcome to another episode of Learning to Drum. I'm your host, Adam Tevlin, and we're in week 15, episode 12. And last week we went ahead and tested our skills as far as our flams, if we can play them at 120. And then also we did the 8/8-16 exercise at 120 beats per minute with the eighth notes dialed up. So welcome back. And I hope you've had some time to practice and work on some of this stuff because we are going to be going into new material here shortly. But today we're going to go ahead and review the accent exercise. We said that, 1 week we were going to try to get it at 60. Hopefully you're at 70 by now. So we're going to review that. And then we're going to test your single stroke roll at 85 beats per minute. That's right. So another test. Okay, let's go ahead and do the accent exercise, and we'll go ahead and dial up our metronome to 70. And if you have your sticks and pad in hand, get them ready because you'll be playing along. Here we go at 70 beats per minute. 2, 1, and 2, and here we go. And go. Pull out. Okay, oops. All right. So how did that feel for you? So we're going to go ahead and try to increase the speed a little bit more. Let's try 80 and see how that does. And the goal, remember, is 120 with the eighth notes up. So let's try here at 80. 1, 2, 1, and 2, and here we go. And all out, and left hand. There we go. All right, so that's 80. Just a reminder, try not to get into where your taps start floating up to the top like this. Okay, so we're going to really define that, right? Okay, all right. That is our review on the accent exercise. I'm going to let you folks go on it, and remember the quiz or the test will be at 120 beats per minute. And if you can do that, I think you're going to be able to do a lot of other things. And remember, this practicing, these warm-ups, these exercises, these rudiments, they're all going to be exponential in value. And what I mean by that, as you're practicing the accent exercise in one hand, that's going to help you out with your flams, flam taps, other flam rudiments, right? Just remember that these things are going to play a part within each other. That means because you can do these things beforehand, it's going to make it easier for you to do the other things down the road. Hopefully that made sense. But let's test our single stroke roll, and we're going to be doing it 85, and I'm going to be dialing in the 16th notes. And I'll count you off. 1, 2, 1, and 2, and here we go. And remember to relax, feel the free stroke, let it go. Pull a frozen, that's right, let it go. If it becomes uneven, that's okay. Just keep going. Right, 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 right. It's a good way to think about if you're in time or not. Just focus on the right hand. Right, 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 right. That lines up with the eighth notes. Okay? All right. So how did that feel? Hopefully that wasn't too bad for you. The important thing is to make sure you relax, because as you get faster, you're going to use that speed, or that rebound for that speed, rather. Practice it, keep working at it. We're going to keep increasing the speed on that. You're going to need to at least play it at 120 beats per minute with the 16th notes. How does that sound? Let's find out. Here we go at 120. 2, 1, 2, here I go. There we go. No big deal. All right, so like I said, learn how to work on that free stroke and using the bounce to your own advantage. Remember that every action is an opposite but equal reaction, so let that pad give back to you. All right, moving right along, we're going to be doing a new study in the book, which is study number 5, and we're going to be dealing with quarter notes, eighth notes, and eighth rests. And the really neat thing, there's no rudiments in this one, but the really neat thing about this, it kind of shows us that certain rhythms can be written in a different way, but they sound the same. So do you remember when we were talking about the different note values, and I said, play me one whole note, play me one half note, play me one quarter note, and what do you notice about all of them? They're all the same, okay? So when it comes to reading these exercises, you're going to notice, like let's say for instance, number 1, we have a eighth note and eighth note rest on beat 1, same thing for beat 2. Now for beats 3 and 4, we just have 2 quarter notes. How does that sound? Let's find out. Okay, we're going to do it at 60 beats per minute, and I'm going to have my eighth notes dialed in and making sure that we're staying in time. 2, number 1, 1 and 2, and here we go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and last time. 1 and 2 and 4 and all right. So did you notice that the eighth notes and the eighth rests, that rhythmical cell, any combination of notes, of course, inside of one beat is called what I call a rhythmical cell, is that, you know, there really is not much of a difference. Now, if I were playing violin, or if I were playing flute or piano, something that has a sustain, even certain percussion instruments like timpani and things like that will have a different sound when it comes to playing that exercise number 1. So if I were to play that exercise number 1 on, let's say, a flute, it might, I'm a really bad flute player, okay? I don't play the flute, but I have a very bad flute sound. But we'll try it. So I'll count myself off. Actually, we'll do the eighth notes. 2, here I'm a flute, and doot, 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 doot. So you can see how that sounds different, but with it, when it comes to like a membranophone that has no sustain, or any type of surface that really doesn't have much of a sustain, they're just going to sound the same. So it's about waiting to play the next note over. Okay, let's go on to exercise number 2. There we're going to be playing on all the upbeats. Now notice how, again, we have quarter notes, pretty much most of the measure, but the last note is the eighth note, and don't let that fool you, because when you see quarter note, you're thinking that you're playing on the beat. Well, not always the case, so you got to make sure you count. This is why we're counting. Okay. Number 2 at 60. Here we go. 2 and ready and play. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 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 and. Okay, so if I were playing a flute and I played this line, it would sound like this. 2 and here I'm a flute, and 1 do 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 do. Okay, So you can kind of get the idea of what that difference would be, but you don't have to really think about that because you're playing the practice pad. So, okay, let's go into number 3, and this is what rhythm I call the heartbeat, and the reason why I call it a heartbeat is you'll find out. Okay, 2, here we go, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 4, and 2, and 4, and 2, and 4, and. Okay, not too bad, but you can hear it. 1, and 2, and 4. Okay, all right, so, and again, we're just doing these exercises just one time through. I encourage you to do the repeat, of course, and we're going to do number 4. We're playing on the upbeat, and just make sure you play the 1, the downbeat of 1 on the inside, so that way it kind of kicks you off on the and of 1. So here we go. Ready and play. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And very good. Let's do number 5 without further ado. Resting on the downbeat of 3, so play the downbeat of 3 on the inside. 2 and number 5 and play. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. No big deal. All right, number 6, resting on the downbeat of 2. 2 and here we go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and right. Cool. We're just chugging right along, and we got number 7 resting on the downbeat of 4. That's kind of marchy, if you want to call it that. Okay, 1 and 2 and here number 7 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 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 and. Okay, good. Sometimes when you're ending on the and of 4, sometimes there's a natural reaction to hit another note. Well, try not to do that. Sometimes I kind of play with my students to where we'll go on for that and we'll do the repeat, and I want to make sure that I know where they're at in the music, and so I'll just keep playing until I get up to that last note and I look like I'm about to hit that next note, and they do sometimes, and I'm like, you got to know where you're at. Okay, so that's why we count. All right, number 8, the last one, 1 and 2, resting on the downbeat of 1 and the downbeat of 3. Here we go. 2, ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 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 and. Okay, good. All right, so that gives you an idea. I would, of course, play these as you're getting better at them at a faster tempo. Remember, our solo number 2 is at 90 beats per minute, so if you can get up to 90, that's great. Remember to work on your flams, work on your flam taps, your single stroke roll, your exercises. Next week, we're going to learn a new rudiment. Yeah. Stay tuned until next week. I'm your host, Adam Tevlin. Thank you for joining me on Learning the Drum. If this is your first time with us, go back to episode 1. However, thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you next week. Always remember to keep swinging those sticks.